You're listening to Inside Blitz with Levon Kirkland.
Hey, welcome back to the Inside Blitz with Levon Kirkland. Hey guys, it's a great week here at the Wyatt Law Studios. We appreciate you tuning in and being a part of this cause and this legacy, so thank you so much. This week, Levon, this is a big week for you. You've got the Ring of Honor that you get to be inducted into Saturday. We're all going to be over there excited to see them rip that sheet off of the stadium and unveil your name on there.
Right, wow.
Your family name going on the stadium at Death Valley. That's awesome. So talk a little bit about that, and then what you've been up to this week.
Well, the ceremony is going to be this Saturday at 7:30 before the boys run down the hill, and I'm excited about it. My family's going to be there. My old high school coach is going to be there,
cool.
And I wish my parents could be there, but they're in heaven right now, and they'll be able to see it. Wish Keisha could be here at this moment, but Kennedy's going to be there, so it's going to be really nice, and I'm going to enjoy it, and trying to embrace it. But really, I want this whole Ring of Honor, man, to bring a lot of great attention to the Football Hall of Fame, and I was able to this last week go to see the Furman Paladins, and I was invited by Coach Wright, and I talked to those guys a little bit. Man, it was a lot of fun. It really was.
That's awesome. I congratulations again, the Ring of Honor, and I appreciate the fact that you want to use that platform to help promote the South Carolina Football Hall of Fame and the cause. That really, to me, is inspiring, and it's one of the reasons why you're inducted into this Hall of Fame.
Yes.
And we appreciate you being a part of this. And you talked to the guys, Carrico Wright, coaching over there at Furman, obviously invited you to come speak to the players. And what was it what was the message that you were able to give to them?
We talked about being committed to the team and actually playing for something a little bigger for you. One of the things when I got into the NFL, what I really embraced was playing for the win and playing for my fellow teammates. And you get to a point in your life where you realize that this thing is really not about you at all. It's about giving. It's about giving to others. And I think once more people get that, this is going to be a better world. And so we talked about that to the guys and really got a nice response from them. You never know with college guys how they're going to react to you. But those guys really responded pretty well. So I was pretty happy about that.
I was graced to be in the audience, and I thought, you said, hey, I'm an old dude. How many of you know who I am? But I think they really did know who you are.
Well, he probably prepped them. But a lot of times, the cool thing, though, is if you show them love and if you give back to them, and they'll look you up and like, oh, man, you did this and you did that. But that wasn't the important thing. The most important thing was to share the knowledge and experience I had throughout my years. And I call it being a time traveler, going back in time and talking to these young kids about what to look out for and, things to really work on and trying to get them better and trying to get them committed. So
that's great. It's an inspiration. So what about you, Mikey Football? We have a special interview coming up. Tell us a little bit about Mr. Paul Kennemore.
Absolutely. First Humanitarian of the Year of our organization. We kind of call it the Kennemore. Always been a huge support of ours, one of our first board members as well. So guy that's been around with us for a long time. But one of the things that I walked away from in this interview was just his spirit of giving back and using his platform and the people he knows to bring joy to other people. And to me, that summarizes what Paul Kennemore is all about. So I thought that was really special to be able to let him talk about those type things, the things that he's been able to do in his life. It's an incredible story.
It really is. Paul Kennemore is an incredible story. And one thing about Paul, you're right, Mike, he did so much for us and those around us that everybody wanted to come up with an award to give to him. And that's how we developed this Humanitarian of the Year award. And we want to inspire, like Levon said, we want to inspire people to invest in the community and give back. And that's why we're always looking for someone to honor as the Humanitarian of the Year. And this year, if you'd like to promote somebody for that, certainly we allow all of our members to do that. And so being a member of the South Carolina Football Hall of Fame has its privileges. scfootballhof.org So go sign up, become a member. We appreciate that. And listen, in this interview, you'll hear Paul Kennemore talk about a number of things, including Don King. You'll hear him talking about President Jimmy Carter, Joe Frazier, and Muhammad Ali.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, Paul Kennemore is really a Renaissance man. He's done a lot, as you just mentioned, for us, but for South Carolina and so many others. So stay tuned. We'll be right back. You're listening to the Inside Blitz with Levon Kirkland.
Hey, this is Fisher DeBerry, and I have joined the South Carolina Football Hall of Fame, and I certainly hope that you'll do so also. These guys are doing a great job promoting the great game of football and how important it is in our state today.
Hi, this is Paul Kennemore. You're listening to Inside Blitz with Levon Kirkland.
Welcome back to the Inside Blitz with Levon Kirkland. We're in studio today on location at the hemp farm, Danny Ford's hemp farm, and we're with his good friend Paul Kennemore, who was also our first Humanitarian of the Year. It is our honor and pleasure. And let me turn it over to you, Levon. Take it away.
Oh, thank you very much. We are here at the hemp farm, and we're here with one of Danny Ford's best friends, Paul Kennemore. Now, Paul, we're gonna do a little softball question now, a little easy question. What is your favorite restaurant, and what's your go-to meal at that restaurant?
In Clemson or anywhere?
Anywhere.
Chop House.
Chop House. What do you like to get from the Chop House? I like the Chop House too.
Filet mignon.
There you go.
Ooh.
Nice.
And you know what? I gave up red meat, and now I think I'm gonna go back to Chop House.
I think he will too.
Yeah, I think I will too. Well, I mean, Paul, you're looking very dapper today. How you doing? You doing good?
I'm doing fine.
Oh,
doing
man.
fine.
Now, that orange shirt, it's hard for me to find anything orange in my size. Where can I get an orange shirt like that?
Burlington Coat.
Burlington Coat Factory. Now, that's an advertisement. We could probably use them as a sponsor.
That's right.
Make a great one.
Yeah, make a great one.
We got the Chop House. We got Burlington. We're on a roll.
We're getting a roll. Now, you were our first Humanitarian. Can you tell us how that made you feel when you got that award from us?
Humbled.
Really?
Absolutely. Listen, there's a million more people more worthy to receive that award than I did.
No way.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I am honored and humble.
Yes.
I got choked up, and I'm choked up now because, again, there's just so many great people out there doing great things. But again, I accept it with a wonderful heart about it. Particularly with David, he's done so much for so many people.
Right.
My buddy Mike Foster, now since you've come on,
I'm your buddy too now.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Every time I see you, it's a handshake and a man hug.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right. Now, talking of Danny Ford, now, how did you two meet? Like, what happened? I mean, I want to know this because you guys seem to be really good friends, and I always like a good origin story. So, can you tell me the time that you and Danny Ford met?
Met in 98 at a school in Charleston that was having a fundraiser for the athletic program.
Okay.
And I met Danny there. He'd always been my hero. For 40 years, I'd been a Gamecock. Please forgive me. Please.
Oh my goodness!
You said that wearing an orange shirt, by the
Wearing
way.
an orange shirt, yeah. So you were a Gamecock, but Danny saved you, kind of like if you go to church, you get saved.
Yes.
You get saved from being a Gamecock into
Nothing like that.
Clemson Tiger. No, really, tell us the story.
Well, I met Danny down there for the first time that I ever met him. He couldn't get rid of me because once he spoke to me, I stayed hooked to him. And,
Right.
he tried to get me away. He said, "Why don't you go home?
But you was like, no way.
Don't you have something to do?"
He's like, yeah, hanging out with you.
And anyway, I'd come up here about probably 3 days a week with my buddy Jack over there. Jack Mitchell, retired Highway Patrol
Hey,
state
Jack.
trooper.
Yeah, Jack's awesome.
And he's been with me through all my ordeal and everything, and he takes care of me, drives me around wherever I need to go. but we come up in 3+ days up in, and hang out with Danny and do whatever little things we can for him. But again, he's been a wonderful friend, and you couldn't ask for a better person than Coach Ford.
I totally agree. Now, I heard at one point in time you were a really good mechanic. Like, you could fix anything. Now, where did you get that from?
Got that from my dad.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We were in the outdoor power equipment business.
Right.
Sold Toro and Husqvarna mowers. And I just always like to see what makes something tick, if you will.
Right.
And so I just enjoyed it, and it was a good life and a good living.
Right. So did Coach Ford ever Paul, I need you to fix something? Paul, I need you to do something?
All the time.
All the time?
All the time.
Still doing it, right?
All the time.
You telling me that Daddy Ford couldn't fix anything? He wasn't a good mechanic?
I plead the fifth. I plead the
You
fifth.
plead the fifth. Okay. So now, with you, Coach Ford and Jack, what are some of the favorite things you guys like to do? You say you guys come here come here 3 times a week. What are some of the things you guys like to do?
Sit under the oak tree, go to Dyer's restaurant and get something to eat.
Yes.
Go to Max Drive-In.
Oh, Max.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. I remember Max.
So we just like to hang out and do like we're doing right now, talking and talking about what's going on in the world and what's happened with who and the sick and the afflicted, and Coach Wyke, his sickness. Danny was concerned about that.
Right.
Interested to see how Coach Wyke was doing, and
Well, we had him on the show, and it was an incredible interview, and we really enjoy him. And I heard he's doing pretty good, so that's good news.
Yeah, that's what I hear too.
Yeah.
So, Paul, tell us about, you worked at Husqvarna, or a retailer.
Yeah.
And, of course, you're on our board of advisors today, and you've given us a lot of advice when it comes to promotion and promoting. And so I know that you have been around Larry Holmes, and he was represented by one of the biggest and greatest promoters of all time, Don King. And your dad, I think you told me a story about your dad in a chainsaw promotion. So tell us a little bit about the promotion business, and maybe that story or another story that you can remember about promotions, or what you might have learned from your dad or Mr. King, or anything you want to tell about.
Well, I learned a lot from both men.
Yeah.
Even though Don King was considered somewhat of a shady person, and he was, but he knew how to promote, and he did promote.
Great promoter.
The world's greatest, in my opinion, for what he accomplished, and even continued to still do on a small scale. But getting back to my dad, he started in business in 1946. And he was the Poland chainsaw distributor for the state of South Carolina.
Wow. Poland.
Yeah,
Okay.
Poland. And that's what we started out as. And then in 81, they canceled about 75% of all their distributors. And so I went into retail business, but having the opportunity to travel the state of South Carolina, call on 120 dealers, that was an eye-opening experience, and gave me an education in itself there. So just learning through that program was truly a blessing to me.
You talk about Poland chainsaws. Talk about the president. Who was the president? And there was you told me a story about your dad sending a Poland chainsaw to the White House.
Oh, yes. That was when Jimmy Carter was there. And Amy, who was a small child at the time, had mentioned on a radio show that she wanted a chainsaw for Christmas.
Wow.
And so my daddy arranged that for her, sent it to her, and he got a picture back from Amy and Jimmy Carter and the entire Carter family and the staff, and autographed it, sent it back to us. And my dad did that for a promotion.
Wow.
People thought that he was doing it for her, but he was doing it to get promotion. And we got calls from Dallas, Texas, California, Oregon, the entire nation, and we got the letters and everything from them. And I would have never believed that we'd have got that type of advertisement.
Yeah, you were kind of wondering why your dad was doing it, but after you saw the promotion, you said, "Hey, Dad ain't quite as slow as I thought he was."
That was smart. That was extremely smart.
Yeah. Talk about, if you will, Mike. You made a good. You were the first athletic commissioner in South Carolina. Is that correct?
Yes, myself and Chris Satopoulos, who was the USA Olympic boxing coach.
And y'all started basically the athletic commission in the state of South Carolina. Is that right?
Yes, there was no rules or regulations concerning anybody boxing. You could put a Levon Kirkland in the ring with a 10-year-old guy that weighed 50 pounds. There was just no rules or regulations. And so we came, and in fact, Lieutenant Governor Nick Theodore was instrumental in helping us and getting the job done, because 60 Minutes had done a documentary on South Carolina, and it was blasting it because, again, there was no commission to regulate it. So anything goes.
In boxing.
Yes.
And y'all started something to help control the boxing.
Yes, we collected money in a King Edward shoebox, and Chris Satopoulos and myself, we did it basically to begin with by ourselves. And then when the state took it over, they had to have, I think, 18 people that came in. So we did it with 2 guys. We paid our own way, the hotels, motels, gasoline expense.
And did y'all not issue, or didn't you issue a license to Muhammad Ali?
Yes, we did.
Tell us about that.
Well, he came to South Carolina and he wanted a license, but he was using South Carolina.
What year was this?
That was 1969.
So 1969, and Muhammad Ali had been banned from boxing in Vegas, right? Because he didn't go to war. Is that right?
Yes. He was stripped of the title 3.5 years, which this day and time would be an outcry. I was crying out then because he was getting raped and robbed.
Yep.
They should not have been able to do that, but they did, and he paid for it dearly. But he came down to South Carolina. Yeah, that was 69, and he was just using South Carolina. So if we gave him a license, then Georgia would give him a license, and that's who he fought. His first fight on the comeback was 1969, 1970 with Jerry Quarry, and he won that fight. And Georgia gave him.
But y'all gave him the license first.
Yes.
That's pretty awesome right there.
That's a part of history.
Right there.
No doubt. No doubt.
I mean, there's stories like that. I mean, we could talk for a month and still not run out of great inside stories with Paul Kennemore. Talk a little bit about football and making a difference through football and what that means to you. I mean, you've been very supportive of the Hall of Fame. Why are you supporting us, and how do you see it?
Well, because of what you guys are doing, what you're doing right now, and with Levon coming on board, that's a big plus.
Yes,
big
it
plus.
is huge.
I see what seed that y'all have sown, and as Danny said, he wasn't sure about whether it was going to make it, and it's bringing forth some fruit now that people are beginning to see. So we thank you for all the work you do, David, Mike, and Levon.
Oh, thank you.
Again.
Thank you.
But I can remember the days when it was rough, and things weren't so easy. But you kept your head up and continued to promote and do goodwill among so many people. And it keeps kids off the street. It helps them do things that they can accomplish. It helps them to be a better person in the world and do good for others.
Yeah.
And you've used that as kind of a way, since you've been retired and been able to travel around using your Rolodex of people, you've been able to connect people with Coach Sweeney and with other big names here in South Carolina to help bring causes, help with causes, make money for causes and stuff like that. Tell me how that passion came about, and when you realized, well, shoot, these people can help make a difference in other people's lives and put a smile on their face.
Well, I think any time that somebody can help someone else in need is always a great cause for anybody. And just simply going out, and if you can't do it, so many times I have not been able to do things regardless of, for whatever reason, but I know somebody that does have a commitment and will do it, and so I can bring them on board, even though I might not do it or can't do it.
Sure.
I've got contacts that will do it.
Sure.
Well, we really appreciate everything you've done. I mean, it's amazing. And, I've only known you for a few short years. And besides Danny Ford, I'm probably like your second best friend, right?
Number one best friend.
You see that, Coach Ford?
Yeah.
And you always call me Laverne every once in a while, so to keep me straight.
Now, Paul, I know that Danny earlier said that he doesn't ever say who his favorite player was. But you've heard him talk about who his favorite player was. Tell us that story.
I had some friends over one night with about 15 of us, and I called Danny on the phone, and I said, Danny, who was the best player that ever played for you?
Right.
He said, you at your house and you got a room full of people, right? I said, yes. He said, you put me on the spot.
Right.
You put me on the spot. Yeah, I can't do that. Yeah, they're going to go tell everybody, then somebody's going to be mad. I said, well, you already told. He said, no, I hadn't. He said, all right, I'm going to say it. And he said, Levon.
Really? Wow, that's amazing.
Yes.
So
wow.
Danny Ford told you with witnesses, Levon Kirkland, best player ever.
Oh, man, that is so nice. Yeah. I'm going to give you your $20 later on.
That was $30.
$30? Yeah. I thought we discussed on 20. How about 25?
Okay, I'm going to give you a 10% discount.
Thank you so much. That is pretty cool. I didn't really know that. I mean, he has so many great players. And you got to understand, I came from such a humble place, and to be on the team with Danny Ford and him calling me Laverne, and then later on Laverne, it was great. I mean, it was an amazing experience that I had at Clemson.
He called me anything he wants as long as he called my name.
That's right. That's right. That's what I said.
He's fantastic. So anything, Paul, that you want to say to the listeners that we hadn't asked you about? a question that Levon should have asked you?
Yes, I would say for everyone to be sure and join the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
And the South Carolina Football Hall of Fame.
And the South Carolina Football Hall of Fame.
That's right.
And really to support this cause and to do whatever you can, and whatever you can give will be greatly appreciated. By you helping us, we can help other people. So God bless you, and we appreciate you.
That's fantastic. All right, for all of us here at the Inside Blitz with Levon Kirkland, live from Danny Ford's hemp farm, do you know how much fun I've had on this interview? And of course, I love Paul Kennemore, Mikey Foster, we call him Mikey Football, and Levon Kirkland, the man, just like Paul said, has been a huge support for the South Carolina Football Hall of Fame, and we appreciate you, brother. The Ring of Honor is going to be special. So you're listening to the Inside Blitz with Levon Kirkland, and be sure and tune in next week, same place, and we'll be right back.
You're listening to Inside Blitz with Levon Kirkland.
All right, well, welcome back to the Inside Blitz with Levon Kirkland. I'm your co-host, David Wyatt, along with Mikey Football Foster, and of course, the man, the myth, the legend, Levon Kirkland in studio with us. What a great interview with our good friend Paul Kennemore.
Oh, yeah.
A little different here at the Wyatt Law Studios today. That was inside.
Less hemp in this one.
Yeah, not quite as much hemp around us.
Right.
The on location at the hemp farm with Danny Ford was a classic. I mean, we love Danny Ford, and we loved that interview. That was fantastic. So thank you, Paul Kennemore. Thank you to the listeners for being around. And of course, we are all about leadership here at the South South Carolina Football Hall of Fame, and that requires us to lead ourselves first, and then to lead others. And Levon Kirkland, you are a leader, my friend.
Well,
and,
thank you.
And I know you've got the inside look nugget, so we're coming straight at you. Please give our listeners a little nugget, the inside look with Levon Kirkland.
Well, thank you very much there, Mr. David. And what we want to talk about, we talk about leadership all the time, but do we really talk about self-leadership? And self-leadership, it impacts almost anything in our lives. It impacts our health, our career, and our relationship. One of the skills of being a self-leader is intentional, being intentional. Do this for me. When you wake up or later on tonight, write down everything you're going to do the next day. When you do that, you don't have to be reactive. You're intentional. And that's one of the best skills as far as being a self-leader. So if you could, if you must, try to be a self-leader, because that's going to help you with your objectives and your goal. So that's the inside look for today.
Hey, that's very good. So inside look, leading ourselves.
Yeah.
I like that tip of writing it down. Thinking about what you're going to do ahead of time, being intentional, writing it down.
Because sometimes, we let things just kind of happens to us, Even like what you're going to have for lunch, what are you going to do at the 2 o'clock hour or the 3 o'clock hour? Sometimes we have to write that stuff down so we can be intentional, especially when we have a goal in mind that we want to achieve.
Yeah, I know that's right. Being intentional, I always try to be intentional, and that's really, that's a great tip to success.
Thank you, sir.
Mikey, football, you are helping lead up the scouting for the Blanchard Rogers Award. We got the trophy out here here. We appreciate Evan Tripp putting that trophy out here for us. The Blanchard Rogers Trophy. This is a very highly coveted trophy in the state of South Carolina. If you're from South Carolina or you came to South Carolina to play at one of the college football programs here, you're eligible for this award. And we've been following you all season long. And if you were born here and you're playing outside the state, like Mason Rudolph, who won it several years ago, then you're also eligible. And we started scouting over 400 kids at the beginning of this, I should say young men, at the beginning of this season. And we've narrowed that down, in-state, out-of-state, to less than 20 people. You've been watching and helping. Of course, we're all scouting, and it's your vote that's going to help make this final determination of who gets to take home the hardware next April at our ceremony. But Mike, talk to our listeners. Give us an update of who stood out this past weekend.
Sure. I want to thank Hales for being a sponsor of the Blanchard Rogers Trophy for the last 5 years for us.
Well, that's great.
It's been fantastic.
Lucian Lee at Hales Jewelers is an awesome guy. He's passionate about the jewelry business. That's one thing I love about him is he's in it because he loves that business. So
family-owned business, treat you great out there at Haywood Road.
And he has a great name, Lucius.
Lucian Lee, he is great.
Well, so speaking of the Blanchard Rogers Trophy, the guy who won it last year, he showed out this week.
Okay.
Yeah.
14 carries, 192 and a touch running the ball. 14 carries.
Wow.
192.
That sounds like
that's a
good
Travis
average.
Etienne.
That sounds like Travis Etienne. It is Travis Etienne. Great job. And that's, I think, his second highest total of his career. He had his highest total in the week 1 of this year. All of a sudden, if you don't look now, he's already starting to push his yardage totals up and maybe throwing his name back in the hat a little bit. But
we've had a back-to-back.
We've had a back-to-back. It wouldn't be the first time. Now he's got some
competition.
He's got some competition. One guy on his team, Isaiah Simmons, is killing it on the defense.
That's a man.
Led the team in tackles once again with 8. Had a couple of sacks. Just a dominant performance. He's everywhere, more than what his stats even say. If you watch a game, he's just in every portion of the field, which is amazing.
He's an offensive coordinator's nightmare.
There's no doubt. There's no doubt. But how about Newberry College gets a win? There were 7 in-state universities that got wins this week.
Nice.
Of course, one of them faced another one, and so they kind of canceled each other out. But good job, Citadel. Nice win. Newberry running back Chance Walker from Swansea High School in Gaston, South Carolina, went 26 carries for 261 yards and get a 6 rushing touchdowns.
Wow.
In the same game.
Wow.
6. So
That'll
I don't
increase
know
your
what,
average.
If you didn't know what he did before, it may not matter.
You know him now.
You know what
What's
he
his
did
name?
now. Chance Walker, a running back from Newberry College.
Chance Walker.
Put
6 TDs.
got 6 TDs
in one game.
6 TDs in one game. That's balling right there.
That's a good job.
And then our guy Rogan Wells, the guy that grew up here in Fort Mills, and then went to Valdosta State. We've talked to him a few times.
He's a quarterback, right?
He's a quarterback, sophomore. He's won 21 consecutive games.
Where he was the quarterback,
where
right?
He's the quarterback.
Not
He's
just a team.
He's just a sophomore, and
That's a pretty good
he
record.
hasn't
Yeah.
lost
Yeah.
yet.
Yeah.
In Valdosta State. And hasn't lost in 2 years, just like Clemson. But he went 327 for 3 touchdowns passing, 83 yards rushing, and a touchdown on Saturday, and they extended their winning streak.
He may have a chance for the next level.
He may.
Yeah.
He may. So a couple of those guys, and then we have to say shout out to Buddy Pugh. Got his 129th
Congratulations,
win.
Yeah,
Coach.
congratulations,
on
Coach
Saturday,
Pugh. Yeah.
and took over the all-time winningest coach in South Carolina State history. What an accomplishment, of course, taking over his mentor, Willie Jeffries.
Coach Jeffries, they don't get any better than that. Coach Jeffries is awesome.
That's all I got for
Yeah.
right now. We could go further, but in interest of time.
Well, what about the NFL? You got something to tell us about the NFL? Give us a quick
Well, one of my favorite linebackers that play in the NFL now is Mr. Leonard for the Colts. He just got out the concussion protocol, and for him to come back and intercept my guy, man, that's amazing. I really love this player, and he comes from South Carolina
Yep.
State, man, and he's a native of South Carolina.
Lakeview, South Carolina.
That was a great
Darius
intercept.
Leonard.
And yeah, this guy's a
Good
ball.
job,
He was a
Darius.
defensive player, rookie defensive player of the year last
he
year
was.
too. So
And he was right there in the hunt
Right
for the
there, yeah.
Blanchard Rogers
He
Trophy. He's
almost beat out Mason Rudolph
Yep.
for that
He was
trophy.
very fantastic. So, well, good professional update. Thank you, listeners, for tuning in. And I thought I was going to be able to get out of here without having the flag thrown on me.
well, when he picked it up pretty early, I was like, uh-oh,
Yeah.
we're in trouble. So.
Yeah, right?
But, I do want to thank Coach Jeffries. He did give us this flag, and he is a member of our Hall of Fame and a great friend of ours. And so, Coach Jeffries, we love you. Evan Tripp, thank you for all that you do. Keeping us on time. You have thrown the flag. Thank you for listening to the Inside Blitz with Levon Kirkland. Have a great weekend, and we'll be back next week.
You're listening to Inside Blitz with Levon Kirkland.